So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, chefs around the world. I'm Linkdo, Project and Event Managers from WorldChef. So once again, it's my pleasure to welcome you to another online event by WorldChef. In today's webinar, we teamed up with our friends at Koppert Cress to introduce to you the gastronomy origins. Our host today is Chef Marcel, spice hunter and high-end gastronomy expert from Koppert Cress. In the next 60 minutes, he will tell you amazing microgreen travel story. And he also comes with a gift. So I will soon put a link in the chat box on Zoom if you're watching on Zoom. And it's already in the captions on our video on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. By completing your information on this link, you will have the opportunities to win a Cresperian box and a private masterclass with Chef Marcel in the coming week. So once again, welcome. And without further ado, I will leave the stage for Chef Marcel.
Thank you, and welcome all over the world. It's nice to have you here, and very, very big a pleasure to be in front of the screen right now for you. I would like to invite you to a world of taste and pleasure, what we all loving day by day, what we are doing day by day, working with incredible ingredients, but there is something more on top, which is really, really interesting to talk a little bit more about. The spotlight on every kitchen is really, really targeted, especially in these days. And me as a certified master chef and pastry, I would like to tell you something more about that. I was traveling around the world within more than 82 countries right now, and I discovered a lot of things, very interesting things from cultures, learn from different cultures, and to implement that and combine that with the knowledge what I have from my own region. So of course, I'm a German guy who is working for a Dutch company, but my home is the whole world. And the whole world means all cultures from human being on our brilliant planet is really, really inspiring me day by day. I would like to tell you something more about all possibilities for how you can use nature and use it in the right way. But first of all, I would like to ask you two questions. One question is, and please do me a favor and ask that question to all you guys in your own surroundings. Why? And that's the reason why I'm also wearing the white jacket as a chef. Why receive, or why is a chef wearing the white jacket in the kitchen? You know, we have a lot of answers for that, and I'm quite sure you have also your own answer. But it's really, really interesting. If you dive deeper in the history of our branch, let me say that, as a chef's being, when I'm looking into the Middle Age, the chef received a kind of an honor to wear the uniform of a doctor. How crazy is that? But it's not crazy, it's the truth. And these kind of things are coming back in these days. We as chefs are responsible for food, nutrition, and all the things which makes us healthy, to live, to survive, and not only to have fun with different food and platings. No, it's more. And to learn about these kind of things, we need to understand also the honor we are wearing day by day. So if a chef was creating the food in the correct way, with responsibility, with the knowing what's happening during the eating and after digesting process in the human bodies, then they created the right dish. And to make the life easier for the other doctors, you can understand if you prepare the food in the wrong way and your guests are running to the doctor and saying, oh my gosh, I have problems here in the stomach and somewhere else, then the doctor is having a very, very bad life. But if you understand it right, if we as a chef prepare things in the correct way, then we are able to wear these kind of things. And it's crazy, but it's logical anyway. If you think about the word gastronomy, where are we working day by day in hospitality, in restaurants and hotels, bars, wherever, on the sea, on the highest mountains, or in the deepest valley? It doesn't matter where we are. We are working in the gastronomy. And what does it mean? Gastro and nomos are two words from Old Greek. Yeah? Gastro means the stomach, and nomos means the law. And if you understand that the whole success of a restaurant or a hotel is coming out of the kitchen at the end. You can build a big palace around you. Yeah? You can build golden restaurants. You can build everything as large as big and huge and whatever. But as far as the food is not good and not healthy at the end, it doesn't make sense at all. And these things are driving me crazy in the past and drives me from one country to another to learn from the different cultures. I spent a lot of time in Africa and Asia. I have small projects on the Maldives, in Russia, in Senegal, and also in Ghana or in Madagascar. But at the end, it's so interesting. When we are talking to each other, then we understand more and more. And that's what I like to show you, that the nature is full of, at the end, results, what we can use day by day. Just to give you a small impression, we as Koppert Cress, and I'm working for Koppert Cress not only as a spice hunter, I'm the high-end gastronomy expert. I can talk to you guys in the hotels and restaurants, but also sometimes to some bartenders to understand how to use the product in the right way. What the people are starting to do with the flowers or leaves from the place of origin where it comes from. We need to transport this knowledge, and that's what we're building up here at Koppert Cress. The headquarters is based between Rotterdam and The Hague in the Netherlands and Europe. But this place is also a holy place for chefs, not only because of the biggest Molteni in the world, what's standing in our Cresperians, how we call our kitchen. No, it's a little bit more. This here is a kind of a big pot where all the people from all over the world are coming together, sitting together, talking to each other, learning from each other, And in the past, outside of the Corona situation or the pandemic crisis, we had minimum 450 top chefs and experts from all over the world per week here at that place. But nowadays we are using these kind of channels to transport you and show you results, inspirations, and also knowledge. And this is very, very crucial for us to understand how nature is working with us together, and we need to learn from them. We as Koppert Cress have more than 70 products in our range, so that's enormous. But to be clear for you, it's just 5% of our possibilities. So nature is full of these kind of results. And I would like to explain you today a little bit more about these kind of actings in the kitchen. But first of all, you need to understand we have 3 pillars in our culinary evolution. And it's a little bit crazy because one of you will be smiling if I'm telling the first pillar or explaining the first pillar. It means that we have the stable way, the possibility as a chef in the past to work with the crazy stuff from all over the world, with the craziest ingredients from the one lobster from the north of Alaska. We have a special fish which is coming from the south of the Pacific. We have a crazy Tasmanian mountain pepper from Tasmania, from Australia. We have crazy ingredients from all over the world, what you can order, bring in our kitchen and create all these things. But this was not the real evolution in the culinary world. The second way was the second pillar. And what was it? It wasn't the ingredient, no. It was the possibility in the kitchen, the technology, to use the ovens, the vacuumator, and everything else, all the machines and techniques in the kitchen to transport flavors into cooking processes and everything around. So this is just the technology, it's just the tool. You have the ingredient and you have the tool. But the most important pillar is building up right now, but it's not really built new. It's there over ages, over centuries. The pillar is called responsibility. To understand the product, why did humans start to eat some things in the world? And if I'm just telling you some examples about, and I'm always like to start with these kind of things, with a kind of a Sichuan button. It's an electric flower, or someone is calling that. Yeah, this is grown up in. It's a small, tiny flower which looks a little bit yellow, and one flower is enough for 60 dishes. We found that one in Madagascar. Yeah. But you can find it, especially that one, also in South America and some other spots in the world. But this one is the most interesting one. This is apart from a family with the most interesting flower. The people in Madagascar are putting that traditionally in their dishes to protect themselves against malaria. So that's the thing. But this is not interesting for us as a chef, just to understand why the people are starting to eat that. But if chefs like me, for example, are going to Madagascar, seeing how people implement that in their dishes and so on, and see the reactions, what this flour is doing, combined with chili, with ginger, with pepper, and it's changing a lot of the taste papillars. Yeah, then it's going to be very, very interesting because it's completely changing the explanation of your mindset on the tongue. So it's really blow you away. But to understand that one is how to implement that in the kitchen. If you know, okay, humans are in the way, in the situation that you are able to eat an electric flower, which is like really electrifying your tongue. If you cut that, put that under sugar, for example, and put that on the steak, on the fish, or inside this salad vinaigrette, for example, then it's really enlarging everything. Why is that? If you have a tongue, and on top of the tongue, you have taste pillars. Yeah, you have taste pillars, and these ones are kind of receptors which are able to taste saltiness, sweetness, sourness, and bitter. But if you put that flour on top, there's a nutrition inside, and a spilantol called, and this spilantol is really making this. And then you have on top of your tongue the maximum of possibility to feel taste. So that means if you combine this flower, for example, together with a raspberry or with a mango or with a kiwi or with something in a different way, it really makes you proud that you are like a sentinel. You can feel it 100 times more than normally and ever before. And this is really, really interesting for you to use these kind of things. But I said to you already, Koppert Cress is having more than 70% of that one, or 70 different varieties in our assortment. So we discovered that one. And just to explain you how Koppert Cress is working. So we are traveling around the world. We have a lot of people who are working for us, discovering different countries, bringing back emotions, what people in Papua New Guinea, for example, are eating, and people in Canada, in Peru, and also Malaysia, and so on. And all this old knowledge, for example, is also very interesting because if you are in your country, and I'm coming from Germany, for example, we have also lots of things what we never using again. But the big question is why? So it's part of our culture, it's part of our human being. And this is the responsibility of Koppert Cress as well. So we are taking part on that. We want to develop that world because this is making us unique. And especially that means that we are able to transport all this knowledge from you back to all the cuisines in the world, to have a respectful using and preparing with the cultural living. Just for you as an example, we're taking part in 16 different places all over the world. And we are, believe me, we are the only ones who is producing the seeds by ourselves. 16 different places all over the world. So we're taking a lot of effort to grow these seeds in the place of origin where this plant is coming from. We don't change the DNA, we don't change the product by itself, we don't cross different products. No, we are respecting the nature. And if we bring these seeds back in our closed ecosystems, how I call it, we grow these plants by ourselves with a logical, natural growing situation. And just to keep you an example, or show you one example, this one is a Tahoon cress. We found that one in China, so it's very, very well known there, for sure. But some of them don't know about. Why? This is normally a tree which is 25 meters high. Yeah? So the tree is not really interesting for us as a chef, but the small microgreen grown of the seeds up, that product is very interesting because it brings whole flavor to, for example, also European or Alpine cuisine. Everybody who's working and cooking next to the mountains, for example, needs this product. Why? Because you have a lot of flavors from different trees inside. You have the moss, you have the mushrooms, you have some different seeds and really groundy forest taste inside. So it's incredible. You can cut that and put that just as a decoration, as a flavor, intense decoration on the plate. But that's one result. And then you reach maximum 25 plates with one of these products. But what you can do as well, and that's what I recommend to you, this one is the perfect ingredient to create a special oil, which achieved at the end 80 to 90 dishes. So that means just cut one of these Tahoon cress and put it in 200 milliliter olive oil or some different oils you prefer, blend it together. You can filter or not, it depends on what you want to do, and then put some tiny drops with this color and heat stable oil on top of the plate. You can use it in the a la carte cuisine. You can bring some flavors in your dishes if you make something with red meat, for example, if it's wild deer or just really meat from the cow, and something else. Or if you think in the vegetarian way, if you think about fruits which are growing under earth, for example, starting with potatoes and carrots and so on, bring these flavors together. We can learn from the people who harvested that first in their own countries. And what did they do with that one? Yeah. So it's incredible, not only from the taste side, also from the calculation side. If I have such an intense thing in the kitchen, and if I want to calculate that, the blended version, for example, I can't calculate that really, really well because it's so intense and brings me more than I can calculate on the plate at the end. bring the world on the plate, learn from the nature. That's the result. But just to explain you a little bit the growing situation, we called more than 35 different cresses what we have right now in our assortment, plus the other 35 different specialties. But the cresses are very nice and easy to understand. So we have cresses which are biological cresses, like garden cress, you know that one, yeah, or capucina cress from South America. But you have also these ones like Tahoon cress. Tahoon is not a botanical cress; it's just a growing situation of a plant which grows from the power of the seeds up. What you have here inside is just water and salt water together, yeah, compared to the product what it is at the end, yeah. But then you have the seeds on top of that medium, and this medium is unbleached cellulose, yeah. So it's completely natural. There's no chemical ingredients around to bleach that one or something else, because that would be really ridiculous at the end if you grow something on top. No, that's it. And then the power from the growing is coming out of the seeds and pushed it up. If the power is going away, then the growing situation starts. So you have a living amount of 1 or 2 weeks at the end, for example, however you are taking care about that. So that's the thing. But just to understand and keep you a little bit more intro in that, we discovered these kind of worlds. And just to give you an example, I was in different countries, of course. But if you see how the situation is completely changing right now, we have a diet change worldwide. So if you have it right now in your restaurant or you recognize that already, then it's fine. If you say, no, nothing changed, so the people are eating the same as before, then maybe it will come as soon as possible to you. So definitely, we will come back to the newest, I don't want to say trend, it's a movement worldwide, what we call Mother Earth principles, for example. It's 80% plant-based on my dish, on my menu, on my whole cooking process in the kitchen. 80% plant-based and just 20% maximum animal-based ingredients. And that's the result. Salt reduced, sugar reduced, and more focused about what's bringing me back to me as a guest at the end. I would like to show you some more things, because I'm really in it that you are interested in these kind of things. Just for example, we have a flower which is called blink blossom. Yeah, I just called it in the camera that you can see it, blink blossom. It's really like bling bling, yeah, because we found that plant in Africa on a very specific place, and this flower is really looking like a diamond. A lot of chefs are asking, is that one something which is really frozen, or are there salt or sugar crystals around? No. This one is a flower which contains a little bit salt, but it's so less salt. But when you bite on that, I just need to repeat the name of emotional chefs like Massimo Bottura, for example. They said, if you close your eyes and you really imagine the wave which clash on the rocks, and then you bite on that, then you really have a wave or a surfer wave on your tongue. It's really incredible. And this blink blossom, which is also very known, called as a kind of an edible diamond. And this name is also helping us in the kitchen to serve an edible diamond on top of a plate, next to some seafood, next to a dessert, for example. But the best thing, and that's what I want to share with you guys as well, I talked with some guys who normally did a lot of things like champagne and caviar and foie gras and all these guys. They want to serve something really exclusive. But if you have this target group, yeah, you always need to think about also in that target group, you have vegan or vegetarian people, yeah, especially sometimes also very often the ladies in between. And they are don't search for caviar or foie gras or these kind of things. They need a vegan alternative. And the vegan alternative is the edible diamond. You really need to discover these kind of things. This is pure luxury on the one hand. But on the other hand, it's not only luxury because it's expensive. No, it isn't. At the end, you receive some things which are very, very crucial for us in the kitchen. I'll just give you an example. Did you know about a jasmine blossom? A jasmine blossom, you can find different ones with 4 flower leaves or 8 flower leaves. This one is with 8 flower leaves. This is known for pastries as one of the best in the world, what you can use in the kitchen. And this jasmine flower, of course, you can put on the plate. You can use it normally and simply combine it with some things together. But if you take a closer look at the best pastries in the world, they are taking the whole cup and put that in the blender and mix it completely up. Why? They don't want to have the pure jasmine flavor. No, they want to rise up and enlarge the flavor of the best chocolate in the world. Can you imagine if you have a kind of a special chocolate from Madagascar, for example, or from somewhere else in the world, which is one of the best? How can you make it much more better? It's not only the ingredient, it's not only the technology, no, it's also the knowledge around. And if you know what jasmine is doing with chocolate flavors, and you learn from different perspectives, then you know this flower is really the key for success if you want to put something on top of your success, what you already have. So really think about this kind of combinations. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people call me a spice hunter. So I'm not only in spices, I'm an interested person in all the apothec, in the natural pharmacy, what products and interactions between different products are changing completely in the kitchen. And as more as you understand from this interacting of products, as more success you will have. So learn from Koppert Cress, and we invite you day by day how much we can and inspire you, for example. Yeah. Another example, what I like to show here is, you see it a little bit, it's blue, yeah? You have a zalotti blossom inside. It's a special zalotti blossom from North Africa. It's an African basil, yeah? With not only basil taste flavors inside, also a little bit peppermint, a sweetness, a little bit oregano inside. But if you do that one here in that glass, you have just a little bit lemon, yeah, squeezed lemon inside. You see it in front of my chef jacket, that this one is a little bit blue. But if I'm putting that inside, it's changing and it's magic, or isn't it? Yes, of course. This is the magic what you can really do in front of your guests, for example. I've seen a lot of things from 3-star chefs who are just focusing on seafood, for example. They prepped a kind of a fish bouillon without any acidity inside. So no using of vinegar, no using of white wine, and nothing else in that direction. They just used the flavor first from the fish and the cross-shell animals and so on. And then they placed this special zalotti blossom inside. Yeah. And this blossom is very, very interesting. Yeah, you saw it maybe already on my profile picture for that webinar. Yeah, that one is the flower. Yeah, and this flower, if you put that inside and heat that up, then the color change into blue. And the gas by itself is just squeezing a little bit lemon or something acidity inside, and the color is completely changing. So it's not unnatural; it's completely natural because it's changing the pH. Number of the liquid, and then it's changing immediately. But this kind of storytelling, and this is the old Swedish word, yeah, for that, cooking is storytelling, always, but sometimes without words, just with emotions. Emotion is the key for success. And just to keep you in a new inspiring other thing is, if you learned about that, and I asked you several times, why, what the hell, why is there inside a sushi bag, for example, with a lot of different sushis in the supermarket? And I hate these kind of things. I prefer to go to a chef who's doing that by himself, for example. But you need to ask you all time, what exactly is the thing? Why is this plastic thing inside? No, it doesn't need to be plastic. That one is the real green with this shape outside around. This one is saving your health at the end. And these kind of things are very, very crucial for us to understand. If you put that leaf next to a raw fish, the raw fish will be surviving and will receive a better storage because the bacteria can't grow so fast with that leaf next to it. If you put it away, then you have a problem. If you put it next to that, then everything is fine. And also if you eat that one, if you have small unserious problems, for example, inside your stomach as a guest, if you eat that in advance or together with the whole recipe, then nothing will happen here. So that's the good thing. And that's what we learned over ages. But sometimes these days we lost this knowledge. And this is really ridiculous. And we are all, as world chefs, are responsible to bring that into the future, to transport that into our old recipes, transform our old recipes into new ones. And the good thing is that people understand more and more. The movement is going into that direction. That's why we call it always the future is green. And that means that plant-based things are really, really the future. And we need to take a closer look at that. If you understand more and more that these kind of things are interesting for us, then, for example, here we have a cardamom leaf. This cardamom leaf is, if you smell that, there's no special flavor. But if you open the flavors, so just break the leaf in the middle and smell later on it, it smells like pure heaven. And let me explain. The most critical guest what you can have is a lady, is a woman, because female guests are eating completely different than male guests. That's the truth. You can really dive deeper in that. If you make a woman happy after serving some dishes or a whole menu, she will definitely talk a little bit more about that. And if she accepts everything what she received and she's in heaven, then you have a completely win situation. So remember my words. So the future is definitely the woman. But this one is the cardamom leaf. And what can you do with this cardamom leaf? Normally in the kitchen you said, okay, put that in the bouillon or in the fond, you have different flavors inside. You can use it like a bay leaf, something else, whatever. Of course, you have cinnamon flower taste inside, a little bit eucalyptic taste, a little bit vanilla, and the typical cardamom taste. But at the end, if you understand this genetic situation of that leaf, for example, then you know that you can put out the green and separate the green, but also a red color out, which looks like a pomegranate, for example. It's very interesting. You can learn from these kind of things. Search, for example, at Instagram, just for hashtag cardamom leaves. You will definitely find some pictures about typical sugar, exclusive sugar, what you can use in the sweet kitchen. And the red one is really easy prepared, just with water and a little bit heat. And the other one is without heat and also just water. So you can really make the difference. Just want to give you an example. This leaf, cut it a little bit together, blend it with sugar, vacuumate the sugar, put it in the fridge, take it out after 2 or 3 weeks, and then smell it. It tastes like ginseng. So you have ginseng instead of cardamom leaves. But this ginseng is not the final thing. No, you just put the same amount of salt on top of it, and you put the same amount, not the same amount, a small amount of pepper on it. And then use this mixture to grate a salmon or another fish, for example. This flavor, which is going inside there, this is the perfect preparation ever. So please understand, cardamom leaves are really, really key success for that. At the end, I'm putting that also in a kind of a water carafe to serve that together with zaloty blossoms. This is so simple. And if it's going down, for example, also with water service, you can fill it up and fill it up and fill it up. 1 leaf and 2 branches of that zaloty blossom is completely enough for filling up that for several times. That is a lot amount for 16 to 18 liters. So it's you have flavor, you have water with flavor, but without sugar. And that's a kind of a trend which is well accepted yeah, to receive also drinks without sugar inside.
Also, one question, which leaf did you mention on Instagram? The hashtag, was that?
Hashtag cardamom leaves. Yeah, you can find it easily there. Cardamom leaves, right. And all these things, every single product is having an incredible story. Just let me explain the one from the Goa cress. Goa cress is coriander taste. So it's the most intense taste what you can find in the world regarding coriander. And not because it's from Koppert Cress. Yes, of course, because we respect the nature, we grow it where the product is coming from. So the same climatic situation, the same earth. So the seeds and the DNA is not changed or modified. At the end, we grow it up like this. We call it Goa cress, but just the growing situation gives you the perfect flavor what you can use in the kitchen. Definitely. I really promise on that because I've seen so much different varieties from all over the world, but this one is outstanding. But just to keep you as a kind of an information, I'm quite sure that a lot of you are knowing that. But at the end, coriander is just loved or hated. Why? We as humans have some receptors on receptors on our tongue, which are able to feel the taste of coriander. If you don't have these kind of pellets on top of your tongue, then you think, oh my gosh, this is not food, I hate it, it tastes like soap, and then I'm out. Yeah? So it's just 25% from the whole humans all over the world. But the other 75% are falling in love with that taste. And that's always the situation why I'm telling chefs who don't love it, think about 75% of all your guests will love it and not hate it. So this is really the goal. And just tried it out. The combination of pineapple and Goa cress is outstanding. If you put these kind of flavor mixtures for some coriander lovers, for example, inside the dessert, or combine that with some sweet fish or with some other things, you will be surprised. Tried it out, pineapple and Goa cress. Yeah, and these things are very, very interesting. But the next thing is we have one cress which doesn't have really the big difference to other cresses with an enormous taste or something else, but another secret in it. We call it Broco cress. What is inside the Broco cress? As the name said already, it's broccoli. But the Broco cress is really outstanding just because of one reason. Do you know what a broccoli makes this vegetable to one of the healthiest vegetables in the world? It's just because of one ingredient and one nutrition inside that broccoli. It's called sulforaphane. And the sulforaphane is the most impressive thing inside the broccoli, which helps our nerve system, our biorepairing inside the body, our brain and everything else, and also for the muscles and so on. This is well known worldwide, so this is not something new. And if you take a closer look at the care and cure sector, for example, in the hospitals and so on, then you can see a lot of things are talking about sulforaphane and using broccoli in the kitchen. But did you know that here in the Broco cress, in such a tiny sprout of this cress, is really 90 times more sulforaphane inside than in the upgrown broccoli. How crazy is that? 90 times more of sulforaphane. And this is really, really interesting. I was traveling around the world also, not only via plane and other things. I spent also a lot of time on the warship, on the Canadian warship, on the German warship, and so on. But there on board, it doesn't matter if it's just a Dreamliner or something else, a cruise liner, or if it's a warship. So you as a chef are responsible for the whole human being on that ship. So that means it's a closed system. And you need to prep the human bodies to the best condition. And with sulforaphane, you will get it. Yeah. So that means also if you're responsible for big companies in a restaurant, for example, to serve them healthy things, to be more stronger, more concentrated, and so on. Yeah, all these kind of things are necessary and transported, committed, and so on via sulforaphane. So how easy is that? Just to use Koppert Cress in a logical way, which makes your life easier in the restaurant, and use just the Koppert Cress. So I'm eating 1 cup a day, yeah. So 25 micrograms of this sulforaphane is the normal dose for per day, for example, and you can find it in just 1 cup. So how easy is that? You just can cut it, put that on top of a soup, of a sandwich, or the whole plate what you are serving, for example. Yeah? These kind of things are very, very interesting. But the next thing is, maybe you heard about that. There was a lady in the past. She's called Dr. Anne Wigmore. It's a lady from Lithuania, from the European continent. But this lady built up a kind of a Hippocrates Health Institute in Miami, in the US, in the United States. And she figured out that there is something more inside a special grass. It's called wheatgrass. And just to tell you the story, the wheatgrass was not only grass and green, and it's not only the chlorophyll, no. As long as the wheat in form of grass is growing like this, and it's being green, then you have nutritions inside which are really, really helping the whole body inside. It really changed your life. You definitely will see that. And that was the beginning of all smoothies in the world, because since the people are discovered the nutritions inside, they figured out the health benefits, and they want to have that one in the plate or somewhere else. How should I implement that inside? And then, of course, the well-knowledge people are discovered that world as at first, and they said, okay, just blend some fruits, a little bit of water together, and so on, or sometimes also without water, and blend that one inside. So that means just cut the wheatgrass, mix it up with water, put it through the filter if you don't like the cellulose inside, or without, and then mix it up together with some fruits and so on. And then you have the smoothie. The smoothie was born, yeah. And later on, it was just a cash cow. It was nice winning effect and so on. So they really were inspired about that. And later on, it was rucola, it was kale or something else. But the beginning point was wheatgrass, yeah. So don't forget about that. If you want to rise up the quality of a breakfast, if you want to give energy to your guests and make them happy at the beginning in the morning, think about wheatgrass is the best start in the morning, however. But by the way, in the evening as well, if you could mix that and make a green daiquiri out of that, is also interesting. So I promise that. So now you can understand that you have a lot of solutions, yeah? And I will just give you an example. We have here an aji cress. Aji is a Turkish description for bitter, spicy, which describe a little bit the sharpness or the spiciness of a pepper. But aji cress is a plant which tastes like fermented black pepper. And how nice is that if you have a steak or a fish or something else what you're prepping, and put, instead of pepper out of the mill, you're just placing these kind of things in a nice presentation in front of the guest, for example, squeeze it a little bit together, put it in a kind of a porcelain form, for example, serve that together, that they can cut it by themselves, or cut it and put it directly on top of that. Yeah. So you will be very, very happy with that. So that means you can learn from these kind of results, and you can imagine that if you were traveling around the world and discover all these things, I'm able also to watch in kitchens and solutions why chefs are very, very successful with these kind of things. And I'm very interested to share these kind of things with you, because that really drives us forward. We as a chef need to learn from these kind of things. Yeah. So I can tell you something more, and I would like to tell you something more. Just as an example, you have, for example, the dushi button. Dushi button is very interesting. Dushi, yes, dushi with D, not like sushi. Sometimes it sounds a little bit like Asian style, but dushi buttons are coming from the Caribbean Sea. And it's really a flower which looks not really attractive, let me say that. If the flower don't mind, it's so tiny. Yeah, this tiny flower is so full of flavors. Is the most intense flower in the world, what you can find and what you can work in with in the kitchen. The douchy button is like the dessert after the dessert, or as some chefs saying, the smallest dessert in the world. But I prefer to tell you the douchy button contains, like, first of all, a little bit like honey nectar, a little bit vanilla, stevia, licorice, for example, a little bit, and then rose, vanilla, all these flowers, caramel, and so on. It's so intense. As longer as you're biting on that, as more flavors are coming out. But I would like to tell you, if you are creating, for example, a dessert, and this flower is very sweet, don't use a very sweet dessert and put that sweet flower on top. Then it's oversweeting. Yeah. But if you have a dessert which is made with some acidity, for example, with some citrus fruits, some sourness, and so on, then it makes sense. Put it on top. Incredible. Yeah. But I would like to recommend as well, if you are preparing, for example, some fish or some mussels, for example, just put this flour inside the fish fond. Yeah, just drop it in and place that directly on top of the fish. Then you will be surprising what's happening later on. That one is the douchy button. There were some questions as well. I saw already the microgreens and all these things. Yeah,
Just maybe a good one to start off with.
What is the best soil for microgreens? You mean soil? We can grow coriander microgreens. Yeah, what we are doing is really from Koppert Cress, a hygienic one. We don't use the soil because the soil is just important if we grow the seeds, for example, for the mother plants, where they're coming from. So we are using unbleached cellulose that makes the product very, very hygienic. If you receive that in the kitchen, you can directly place that next to the dish where you are making something, or place that directly on the cutting board, and you can cut everything else later on. So that means no contamination or something else. Yeah, everything is better. So this is the most interesting thing for the kitchen: unbleached cellulose. Yeah. I don't prefer, I personally don't like these cut cresses things, because then you can see it grows on some, I say that the dirt colored cotton and so on, yeah, fleece, how we call it sometimes. This is not really good. So you really need to be sure that these kind of things are on top of that. Yeah. So maybe what's not also interesting is to understand the trends right now. The trends are telling you a little bit about vegan, vegetarian, and so on. But vegan, vegetarian, let me explain. It's just a big amount, which is like just 10 or 15%. It feels like it's growing more. But if you target that one, what we call in Europe, for example, flexitarian, which means these guys are eating or prefer to eat 5 days a week, for example, no meat, but just 1 or 2 days a week, they said, okay, now I'm ready for a nice fish or a nice meat, for example. Yeah. So that these are the flexitarians. And the flexitarians are really much more than just vegan and vegetarian. So please focus on that. So this is really the key for success. If you make it more attractive, I would like to give you an example. There was a big restaurant, which is together with some media stuff. They had a lot of potential, and they created 2 menus for the guests. On one menu, there was everything on top what they did over 10 years before. Yeah? So it was one was better than the other course. So with meat, with fish, with everything else. But they reduced the words, the power of the words, to describe that. So it wasn't all mentioned the whole herbs inside and what they did with the beef and where does it comes from and so on. No, they reduced just the words. And on the other side, they created a menu which was really based on this vegetarian or Mother Earth principle, 80% plant-based things. And then they used the power of words. They described everything around, and this special potato was really salted with some special cucumber seeds or pumpkin seeds or whatever to make it crusty, nice, and so on. And if you read that menu, it's really mouth-watering at the end, that everyone wants to have that one, the vegetarian version. They figured out that just the power of the words give you everything in your hand to create something around and to focus on these kind of things. I would like to give you an example.
A good question.
At the beginning, you talked about Mother Earth 80-20. Can you enlighten more? Yes, of course. Mother Earth principles, you definitely can read it in different languages on our website in the storyboard or the travel stories. Mother Earth is the new combination of all these, I don't want to say trends, it's more the evolution. 80-20 principles means 80% on your calculation in the dish or in the whole menu or the working process over a week or month need to be 80% from the amount you're using and you're serving plant-based. 20% maximum, but that's that one in the best quality you can get, animal-based, maximum 20%. And next to that Mother Earth principles means respect regional, traditional, seasonal, always salt reduced, always sugar reduced on the plate, and everything as natural as possible. And these sounds, these facts or sounds very logical, but at the end, it's not used in the world right now. But you can do that, definitely. So a lot of countries have started this kind of responsibility projects for themselves. They created a kind of farming for health. They created a kind of changing your food. The whole diet change is based on that. So if you want to focus on that, really implement the Mother Earth principles. You can also find some things behind the hashtags as well, Mother Earth principles, combined to that. So definitely. And this is very interesting. I just give you an example, for example. You have 3 different plant parts, and you are able to create a vegan oyster. Crazy, or vegan oyster? Yes, of course, I can. So first of all, I just need an oyster leaf. Oyster leaf is so interesting because this oyster leaf is really touching your tongue, but not describing anything. So normally the tongue and your brain is searching for, is it salty? Is it bitter? Is it sweet, or is it sour? And then the brain or your remembering can really put that in a basket and say, okay, that's that one. But the oyster leaf is the only leaf which doesn't give you an answer so fast in the mouth during your eating and feeling that. So that really makes it interesting for the brain. But if you put then later on a kind of a salty finger, for example, inside this one, it's called salty fingers. It's a plant which contains a little bit from seawater inside, so it's a little bit salty. You just place that inside this oyster leaf. And of course, if you're serving oyster, you need a little bit acidity, just to make it more interesting for the tongue. You put some apple blossom or 1 apple blossom in the middle. Then you have something like that. And if you serve that, for example, just with a tiny neutral liquid, for example, you can make a smaller fond, a lightning fond or juice or lemon with agar-agar, for example. Just put it inside, serve that together, wrap that, and eat it. And it tastes like a vegan oyster. So it's really interesting how you can combine also this kind in the world. And another example is, for example, the maji leaf. Maji leaf is a leaf which looks like a special leaf which is a little bit fatty. So it's a little bit, it's not fatty at all, but it's a little bit thicker, not so thin. But the thing is, how do you use this flower in the kitchen? Just cut the part, the beginning part a little bit off, and place that, for example, in the liquid inside with a little bit rum or gin or something without alcohol. It sucks inside that leaf, then you can use the leaf like an edible spoon. You can place some things on top, or you can cover that completely with chocolate, for example, and then you can eat that one, put that on some wooden sticks, for example, place that between the buffet or whatever. You can really be inspiring later on. That's the reason why we have this maji leaf. Yeah? Maji is Swahili called water, as you know, and maji really explains how to work with this leaf. There's always solutions how you can create with that. That's one of the reasons why we had also plans in our edible jungle, where a lot of chefs were so surprised and said, oh my gosh, I'm really one of the best chefs in my country, but I need to go to Koppert Cress to learn which plants and plant parts are edible or growing in my country and so on. And this really makes it so enormous interesting for everybody, wherever he's coming from in the world. So yeah, all these things are more than just inspiring and needs to be a main part in the kitchen. And that's what we like to transport to you guys, wherever you are. Just give you an example. These special flowers, not a flower, a lot of chefs call it flower, but it isn't. It's just a leaf. Yeah? It's called Ica leaf. Yeah? These Ica leaves looking like small papillons. Yeah? So you have 3 of these leaves. Yeah? I'm showing you from that side. You have 2 colors on top, and then the other side a little bit more softened with that color. Yeah? So it's really looking like a papillon, yeah? But at the end you have sourness inside. It tastes like an unripe plum. But if you combine that with a little bit sugar water, for example, or create a whole sorbet out of that, then you have the taste from the best rhubarb in the world without using rhubarb. Yeah, how crazy is that? A lot of star chefs in the world are experimenting with that one. And one special one of my favorites from Switzerland, for example, he did that one in the kitchen and was so inspiring. He said, every month I'm changing the menu, but this one, since I placed that on the menu, my guest said, please don't put it off from the menu because it's so incredible, the taste, we want to have it. Yeah, and at the end it was 6 months on the menu. Yeah, this is not logical for this kind of restaurants. Yeah, so you really can work with this things around, and also the taste. Yeah, just keep in mind, if you have a cress in your kitchen, and if I'm talking about the whole box, for example, this is also very interesting. If you have the whole box, please look on the side. There is a refrigerator on the side. If it's there, or if it's completely forbidden to use, then you have a sign on top of that. So that means understand. This is a living creature. Yeah, it's not that you all put that in a storage and so on. Yes, of course, a lot of them respect it. But if you have, for example, lemon cress or sheet of purple cress, they feel much better and much more comfortable if you place that outside, which is not so cold, for example. Yeah, so that's really, really interesting what you can do with that one. But just let me explain a little bit more. Dive into, for example, the cress selector. If you click on koppertcress.com, search for the cress selector. Inside the cress selector, you can find the whole techniques and ingredients and countries from where are you cooking, for example. And then you can find the products which really fits in the culture, which really fits into different technologies and usage in the kitchen, and seasonal, regional stuff, and so on. And you can combine that. You really can touch the ground to use the whole knowledge from Michelin star chefs, from Gourmillot and Jeux Restaurateur from all over the world. So this is really inspiring to use also this kind of channel. Yeah. So please do not hesitate to contact us wherever you want and wherever you are. So we try our best to help you. And just to let you understand, Koppert Cress in the Netherlands is the headquarter. So we have our partners in Japan, we have our partners in White Russia, in Turkey, in Colombia, in the United States, and so on. So you can find us wherever we need to be at the end. And we would like to invite you, hopefully in the future, much easier when this situation is going into more normal back life, normal life back. And yeah, and hopefully to see you all there. Yeah. So we are transparent. We like to share everything wherever we can, and so on. But maybe I would like to show you something more.
The rhubarb flavored leaf, is that the Ica leaves?
That was the Ica leaf, yeah, with the rhubarb flavor. Yeah, it's really, really stunning. If you create something with that leaves.
We get a lot of questions, so we're trying to respond to them.
Okay, okay.
Quite a lot
more questions. I would like to answer everything. So you can contact us afterwards as well. So Thiele.Marcel. So I'm reachable. I try to answer all questions from you guys. But can we?
This is maybe a good one to answer now.
Okay.
There's maybe an invite for the second session as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So, the invite for the second session, I can tell you, I would like to do some more things and to show you some technologies. So that's very interesting, I guess, to make oil out of that, to make vinegar out of that, to create ice cream, for example, from that Ica leaves, which taste like rhubarb, and all these kind of things. Which of the microgreens, no, it was about oil, yeah, right?
Yeah.
The last question.
Yeah. I already start to respond to them that they should watch the second session too.
Of course. Yeah. But I can tell you at first, the Tahoon crest is one of my personal favorites. That's for sure. Yeah. But you can use also borage cress to make a kind of a borage or cucumber oil, for example. Yeah. It's not cucumber at the end. It's borage, but borage is a cucumber herb. That's what you can do. Goa cress is perfect. Yeah, so you have coriander flavor inside. You can make it out of akla cress if you like the flavor from tangerine, for example, from a little bit what's going into the citrus flavor or lychee, the combination. One of my next favorites is also personate cress. Personate cress is 20 times more intense than personate by itself. So if you have parsley, for example, in the kitchen and you love that flavor, and of course it's combined everywhere in the world and well known, one more, one less, but the flavor to receive a cress combination out of that flavors, which is 20 times more intense, blend that together with sunflower oil or less nutty oil, for example, a little bit more in the light olive oil, for example, then it's perfect. Blend that together, you have a luxury feeling with that green oil. Yeah. So you have a lot of products which are useful for that. Shiso green, for example, is very interesting, and definitely you can make also brilliant mayonnaise out of some cresses. Yeah. If you heard about the daikon cress, which is really intense in flavor from the one side, it's that one. Yeah. It's a little bit more bite on that, yeah, and the taste of a white radish, yeah. But if you really make a simple mayonnaise with using that cresses, you can make a daikon mayonnaise with such lovely flavor inside. It's really outstanding, yeah, that's for sure. But what you can do as well, you can use also the scarlet cress. The scarlet cress is having such a nice color. It's an amaranth, yeah, but a special one. If you find some other amaranth versions, it really tastes like nothing. But this one is a special amaranth, what we call scarlet cress. And this scarlet cress contains a flavor like beetroot, but without the earthy, moldy taste inside. So really the fruit part, the light fruit part from that one, that means at the end, you can just cut that and overfill that with a little bit heated white vinegar, for example. And this vinegar is changing completely into that color. And then you can use that vinegar, for example, for special things in front of the guest or with the guest or whatever. The flavor inside is really stunning. Yeah, combine it with asparagus, for example, with radish and all these kind of things fitting perfectly together. Yeah? So you have several options. And as well, also here, we have some solutions, how we call it, in that bigger boxes. We have two products. One is salad pea, maybe you know that one. It's really a salad pea, how the name is saying that. Very fruity, sweet, so very nice. And you have a special thing on the plate. I need to show, otherwise I don't want to talk only about that. That one is really well known. As you can see, you just have, oops, just that one. I show you here. If you have just one salad pea, put that on a plate. The taste is incredible. It's very soft. You can buy that one and then remind you really for sugar peas and light soft beans, for example. It's really delicious. Yeah? Just place that on top of the plate, and it looks awesome as well. But this one I really want to show you. This is the hidden treasure of our owner, let's say like that. Yeah, the hippo tops. And it's a special product, a special cress, which grows normally next to the river, and with some a lot of water. And this hippo tops is very intense. And hippo, it's not because of something else. Hippo is Hippocrates. So make food be your medicine before medicine starts to be your food. So there's a health aspect behind that one. But if I really covered it out, so just focusing on that one in the kitchen, it's stunning. Because normally in the middle of Europe, for example, they're using quite a lot of that ones, and also in Asia. But this special flavor here inside is enormous. Normally the chefs are making some kind of puree soups out of that, but forget that one. They are using that one because they don't have the right quality of that one. Yeah, if you have that one, you just place that on top of the fish, for example, or make some pesto out of that. This is really, really stunning. Hippo tops. Yeah. The big one. A lot of in South Africa. A lot of restaurants use microgreens and herbs in South Africa only as garnish, and a lot of suppliers just sell mixed punnets of herb, grass, and greens as a garnish. I believe that I'm just reading that comment. I believe that this is someone that you don't know. My question for restaurant or chef to never work with microgreens. Start that correctly. How do you educate these friends in the industry, and what is your point of view of chefs just using mixed microgreens as garnish, not adding anything to the dish? I just can tell you first, if someone is starting to use microgreens, if it's completely just cut, mix, and use it, of course, that's not wrong. Yeah, this is the first step, in my opinion. Yeah. If you did that one, then it's perfectly fine. But if you want to do the second step and the logical one, try the single microgreens single-wise, and then you can see, wow, this flavor is really fitting that, and this flavor is really fitting that, and so on. And then you have more potential to put successful things inside the kitchen instead of just using that as garnish. So that's for sure, and I would needs to tell you that one. This is the natural apotheke. This is the natural pharmacy, what you are using and putting on your plates, that the other side, the guest, is not eating and seeing the architecture aromatique, also the technical part, which is doing the rest inside the body. Yeah. So that's the most intense thing. What I want to tell you, this is not only decoration. Of course, it is a nice decoration. It looks awesome and stunning on the plate. Yeah. If you just remember, if you have some pasta with a white sauce and nothing on top, then it's just pasta with white sauce. If you have some cresses around, it looks like, oh, it's a little bit more. Yeah. And of course, if the flavor is coming as well, then it's all fine. Yeah. So I don't want to buffer some chefs who are just mixing and putting that on top. This is the first step. But if you want to focus on the next things, then discover the single things, what you can do in the kitchen. So that's really, really interesting. Yeah. Can we grow microgreens and cresses outdoor landscape? If yes, what is the ideal temp and climate? I just want to give you an answer on that, but I'm really a fan of the things, what's possible. So you really need to figure out what's possible for you. Yeah, definitely. I can't say it's easy. That's definitely not. So we are working since 45 years in total with this whole knowledge around these kind of things. So you can imagine I have a lot of support from my colleagues, which are having 6 or 8 legs. So we are working together with a lot of insects, the natural friends and enemies from the plant or the insect worlds. So this is the bigger picture of that. Maybe it's also interesting for you guys to know that we have the most sustainable on the one hand, but also the future-oriented greenhouse system in the world. This is really awesome. Why? I can tell you, if you have an overheat in the summer, we restore the heat 140 meters down on the earth in natural sources and bring it up in the wintertime if we need a little bit more heating. The same with coldness or cooling effect. We have 70 meters under earth in natural storage where we can place cool water in it and bring it up to cool it in summertime if needed. So we're just focusing on wind energy and solar energy to use these kind of things. And the rest is the closed system and one of the best engineerings in the world to bring a closed system and a closed ecosystem at the end also into the future. And that's really, really a thing where we need to go. So when choosing different cresses, should we always put composition into menu creation first rather than some two dishes? That's a good question. But you really can find your own way, what you want to achieve, yeah? Of course, if you give them a bigger picture, please rise it up as much as possible, of course, yeah? So it's also interesting for the guest, yeah? If they're reading for 20 or 30 years over about some carrots and some special lobsters and so on, they are sometimes also a little bit like, okay, yeah, it's known already. So if you really make it big better at the end, then it's fine. Should we always put composition into menu creation first? I did the yeah. Okay. Which crest goes good with red meats, poultry, and seafood? Yeah, that's quite easy. For me, it's Sakura crest. That's definitely for sure. It looks a little bit like the daikon cress. Yeah, it's the same texture, but at the end you have a power of a horseradish inside. It's a little bit more spicy. That's for sure. But it really depends on how do you create the red meat? How do you create the poultry, for example? For me personally, if I create poultry, I'm searching more for the freshness. So if I'm working with shiso green, for example, or if I'm working with some lemongrass or basil and so on, or akla cress to transport the flavor of some citrus fruit or lychee on top of that, then it's really surprising me and make me smiling. But at the end, it depends on your cooking style, which country are you coming from, and so on. Yeah. But if you really want to have answers for that, what is possible and what is not so recommendable, for example, then use the crest selector, search out for, I want to do something with red meat, with poultry, and so on. And all the results are coming, which is possible to do. And then you can choose it by yourself. Any crest can be cooked in fire. I think it's logical that you understand if you have small cresses and put it directly in fire, then it doesn't make sense. So the last is the best, of course, but you have also the Tahoon cress, which really, really brings flavor also after burning inside the dish. So that's for sure. Yeah, what you can do. But at the end, you can use also the cardamom leaves, for example, to wrap something in it. Yeah, you can use it definitely in the big green egg or some other things. Yep, that's what we did already. So just remember that one on top of that. Can we use fenugreek leaves mixed with bitter gourd leaves to clean up our stomach toxic? I'm not a doctor, so I don't want to tell you about that one. So that's for sure. But at the end, there's a lot of truth inside. So you really can use nature as a natural pharmacy, that's for sure. So I'm doing that just personally for me. So I learned a lot in the Himalaya, in Africa, and in South America about that one, and also North America. So that's definitely for sure. There is, for example, the Capucina cress, how we call that. We call it a Zori cress. This is the Capucina cress, which we found in the past in South America. And this one is like penicillin for the stomach, let me say that. So it's well known from the monks, from the European monks and so on. In these days, no one is talking about that. No one is interested in that. But this is the old way of thinking from the culture where we are coming from. So it's necessary to think about, yeah? Can a culinary student join Koppert Cress for learning in future, and how many years we can be there? Good question. You're always welcome to come to us, to our place. We want to share. We never say no, so we definitely want to share. But after Corona, that's for sure. For now, we have a lot of restrictions, and maybe it's also not for you very easy to come here. That's for sure. But maybe you are also interested. I'm connected with a lot of chefs worldwide. So you can find me personally, for example, on each channel, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever. So please write me if we can help you, however. So that's for sure. Yes, of course. But if the situation going a little bit more into calm and normal life, just ask us again, come to us, we will find a way. Which cress goes best with chocolate and puree fruits of IQ purees? It depends on which puree, so that's for sure. So there's a difference between citrus flavors and flower flavors and fruit flavors and so on. You can imagine. But if I recommend it well for chocolates, I really prefer the Zalotti blossom, but not with the color side inside. Just I will show you if you have the Zalotti blossom, because some chefs are doing that in a different way. If you use the Zalotti blossom and make this one, then you just have the flowers on top. You can really use it like that one and put it on top of the plate. But I would like to show you, wrap it from up to down. And then you have these tiny things around. Maybe you can see that here. Yeah. And if you place that here on top, and if you, for example, have a chocolate mousse or a puree of mango, for example, just place these kind of things. Maybe you can see it much better here. It's not recognizable in the picture, but you have the flower here, and then the stem, which looks like a tiny feeder, for example. Yeah, but in a good way. However, it looks awesome. Yeah, so it's a little bit like a female touch. Yeah, from up to down, stretch it, and then place it on top. So that's really awesome. Chocolate is also with Akla cress. I prefer that one, and the Akla cress that we have it here. Not yet, but also with lemon cress, for example, then you have really the freshness of the lemon, yeah, on top of that, yeah, especially if you have something with white fruits or white chocolate, and so on. So that's really make the change. What will be good to cress to smoke a product? Yeah, that's a good question. We have a lot of things what we can do. In that case, I would like to recommend also to use the cress selector, search for smoking, barbecue, and all this stuff, and then you can see a lot of potentials inside. I know that the flavors of the shiso leaf purple are well known in that world, so you can do a lot with that one inside. But also with shiso green, because shiso green, the flavors inside the shiso green is reacting with smoke and sometimes also liquid smoke. But please reduce if you use liquid smoke, please reduce it. Yeah, if you smoke it by yourself, you definitely will find some solutions. And yeah, so we have a lot of things what we can do. What's the name of the process of putting leaves, herbs to give water flavor with sugar?
Without sugar.
Without sugar. It's that one. It's cold infusion, yeah. So just cold infusion. Just place some leaves and flowers always together inside. If you would like to choose more or prefer more the shiso leaf green, for example, then use some 2 strawberries, for example. Yeah, then you will be smiling because the strawberries is a kind of a magical effect. The shiso green is from both sides green. If you put that one overnight inside just cold water with strawberries, then the backside of the green leaf turns into purple, yeah, or light rose. So it's really stunning. Some bars are using these special leaves if the color is changed later on top of the cocktail. And surprising the guests, because some of the guests, they know shiso green and they know shiso purple, but not a mixture out of shiso green and purple. So that's also very interesting. You can use these kind of things. Just put it inside, and normally after 15 minutes, you have the flavor inside. And if it's reduced, you can fill it up and fill it up and fill it up again and again. So it's really cold extraction inside the water. The flavor is going not in one time inside, and later on is nothing inside. So the taste will be delicious. Yeah. And you can imagine, especially if you have big conference halls, for example, also the trends for the people who are sitting the whole day to discuss some politicals or economical things inside the conference. In the past, it was logical that they have a lot of lemonades and oversugared things, but it brings also pain in the brain after a few hours if you drink too much about that, yeah, or of that. So this is really water with flavor, and that's it. Yeah, it's also part of sustainability. Yeah, I'm interested in growing my own microgreens and would like to maximize my usage of them. How many times I'm able to harvest microgreens from the first sprouts? It's an easy question, because if one seed is germinating and growing up a cress, then it's already done. So if you've got that, nothing more is coming. Yeah, so that's a logical scenario. So that's one of the reasons why we put so much effort inside to grow the seeds by ourselves as well. Yeah, why are we doing that? That's also a very interesting question. We are the only one in the world who is investing so much in growing our own seeds for our own production. Why? We don't want to have any changes in the seeds. We don't want to have any additional things on top, or which is changing the DNA or something else. So we are interested to grow the nature, how nature is, because the chef needs the one what's needed. Which cress is ideal with cheese? Depends on what kind of cheese, yeah, for sure. I can tell you, I have a lot of experiments with cheese to use, for example, the sea fennel inside. This is really awesome. It doesn't mean that I'm bringing the Croatian taste inside the cheese. No, it isn't. But there are a lot of things inside which is reacting under the process of the cheese making. But if you want to find something more, also here, the crest selector is one of the nice points to set up the questions. I prefer the slightly tasty ones. So that means also daikon cress, chili cress, and so on. This is very interesting. But at the end, I would like to recommend you one more thing. That's one of my personal favorites. So it always depends also what you prefer. But when I'm thinking about a brie camembert from France, for example, yeah, and I want to have one of the best ones, which is really creamy and so on, or not moulin rouge, it was a different thing. No, the
what's it?
Yeah. If you think about the brie camembert, yeah, then you can imagine and put some mustard cress on top. Then you have really the taste of a Dijon mustard, the fruity, spicy moutarde on top of the French cheese, yeah, and especially the same also for the Italian ones, yeah. So you have nice combinations in that, yeah? Definitely.
The upper one.
Yeah, one question is that some spice leaves may be allergy for some people, like smell, aroma, or taste, or some feels nausea. So what should do at this moment. Thank you, Chef Marcel. That's for sure. We have some cresses, and this one is the best example. We have some allergens, yeah, or allergens, which is here mustard. So mustard is an allergen. So if you need to mention that, you definitely need to do that. No bad reactions on it. Let me say that. No toxic reactions. No, you can't eat too much, yeah, of that. So that's definitely for sure. So please go forward, try everything you will see. But if there are any reactions from the guest side, if you have one who is not able, and that's what I need to show you, if you have one who's not able to eat lupine, for example, lupine cress is a very, very strong, as you can see here, I can clap my hands on it and it's still like that. It's the toughest and the hardest cress. Lupine is the European answer for soybeans, lupine beans at the end. And this one is also an allergen. Yeah, you need to mention that. In Europe, you don't have any problems with that one. If you want to have, or if you have some problems, maybe then that one is a little bit more tougher for South America, for example. But at the end, if you mention that on the menu, that's fine and clear. Yeah? Hi, Chef Marcel. May I ask whether it's possible to make the cresses into powder to be used as seasoning? Yeah, definitely, with an effect, the taste annoying. It depends on which product, that's for sure. Yeah, but this is well known, especially in the UK and Ireland. So you have a lot of things what you can do with that, and especially always saying that if you have, for example, the whole box, and later on you're thinking about, oh my gosh, the half is already used, but the other half is not used. What shall I do with that one? Then put it in oil or in vinegar, blend it together, freeze it, or make some seasoning out of that, which can really definitely rise up the taste in the butter or in cheese or just on the plate. So definitely for sure, yeah. So if you have specific questions on that, just come up with that questions. That's for sure, yeah.
No more new questions for now.
No more new questions. So I would like to say thank you for your thank you that you listened to me, and I'm really looking forward to present you in the second turn if you are interested, and really subscribe on that, that you're interested in the second turn. I would like to bring you into another world which is more practicable, and it will show you some other principles on the plate, for example. That's also very interesting to see, to make oil, to make ice cream and all these other things in a really easy way. And I definitely will show you also a vegan alternative, which is based on plant-based ingredients, which looks like a tuna, but it isn't made out of any fish. So you will see. If you have some other questions, please do not hesitate. Contact us also at info@koppertcress.com. You can write also, or contact WorldChefs at the end anyway. You can order also some newsletter on our homepage, www.koppertcress.com. You will find all information you need. Just subscribe and so on. We definitely recorded that session, so you will provide it with a link where you can see afterwards all words for me again, if you want to see me one more time, or remembering some other things. Definitely we will provide you with the recorded session, that's for sure. And yeah, just take a look at our website. We have several channels on Instagram. So if you just search for Koppert Cress, you will see UK, Spain, Portugal, Asia, and so on. So definitely we are there. And whatever questions are upcoming, I'm always transparent on each channel. Don't hesitate to contact us. So you are more than welcome. And I hope there was a lot of new things inside. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see you in the second session.
Also, the second session, the invite will be from out the WorldChefs.
Yeah, the second invite, you heard already, will be, by the way, this is Michiel. Yeah, so we need also support here. So I'm good in cooking, but with this technical camera,
I can't cook, I can just eat all the things that he's creating. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
So don't hesitate and contact us, yeah, and then you will provide it with all these things for the second term. Just subscribe, as our world chefs mentioned already, that we have your contact data, and then we try to find the best way to deliver you also the boxes and so on, if you are interested in that. Yeah.
I think World Chefs from itself will end the session officially, but I'm not sure.
Yes.
So
You're more than welcome.
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Marcel. So thank you so much for the wonderful sessions. It's been a great time listening to your stories with Cress. I've learned a lot, and I believe I can speak the same for all the chefs that are joining us today. I would like to say thank also for our audience on Zoom, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You will be receiving a recording of the sessions via email tomorrow. And if you miss any of the recipes or the sharing that Chef Marcel has mentioned throughout the sessions, don't worry, because I will also send a link to your email. And still, you can reach out to me or Chef Marcel directly if you have any questions. So thank you so much for your time today, and look forward to see you in the second module of this webinar series. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
All the best to you.
Thank you.
Wherever